Mark Rubin, Heidi McKay, and we're still awaiting Brandon Pender and Joe Perry. And then for Government Affairs, Eric Preven, and myself, and Lisa Karajan.
Here.
And Marcia is excused. And Victoria Shulam is here. And we are discussing and having a possible motion with respect to regulations for dockless rental motor scooters, which you all know have been in the news. And we have a representative from Lime here. Nima is here in Stevens Place. And I was just going to let you go for like the first 10 minutes because we basically have 30 minutes for this. So
okay.
We'll let you have the floor.
Is there
and Joe has arrived. Let's make note.
Is there a Wi-Fi network that I can connect to present? It's like a short. It doesn't. I don't need the slides.
I can give you my
password. Oh, you can't get down here?
My Wi-Fi. I turn it on. I think it gives you the password when you turn it on.
I don't know.
You want to sit here?
My weight gain is
We do have Wi-Fi in the studio, but I'm not sure what the password is.
Oh, okay. This takes a moment to boot.
Okay.
Who will get that?
Evo, you got one.
I printed everything.
Do you want to do a narrative in the interim?
What?
A narrative in the interim?
Oh, sure. My name is Nima Davari. I work for Lime. Prior to joining Lime, I was the Director of Development for the Hawaii Bicycling League. I'm currently based out of Honolulu, Hawaii, but I spent most of the past 20 years here in Los Angeles before moving to Hawaii. My most recent job was the Director of Business Affairs for the Disney ABC Television Group. I attended law school in New York City at New York Law School, went to USC Film School for undergrad. I've been an alternative transportation commuter for about 2 decades now. When I first started law school in New York, I did not like riding the subway. So I started biking and it just sort of stuck with me. So yeah, when I moved to Hawaii to make like a career change out of entertainment, I joined the bike league, and then Lime came to me as someone who's tapped into that community in Hawaii.
Oops.
Oh, there we go. So,
if you push that
and
again.
on the horizon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glad you can read it because I can't. I'm reading classes. It takes about 30 seconds from there for it to recognize.
So I just have a short presentation on what dock-free mobility is, sort of what the state of affairs are, how we operate. For those of you that don't know, thank you so much. I think I'm on.
Great.
Yesterday morning, the City Council of Los Angeles decided to move forward with implementing a 1-year pilot program, and then from there they'll put in permanent regulations. I don't have all the details of the Los Angeles City Council, but it was unanimous 13-0 to move forward with a system within City of LA. So I can present really briefly on scooters generally. If everyone can see. So our organization started about 18 months ago, January of 2017. Our first market was bicycles, so we are multimodal. We have pedal bicycles, electric bicycles, and electric scooters. Some of our competitors just have scooters, some of them just have electric bikes. We are a multimodal fleet. Our first scooter market was San Diego. That was in February of last year. Globally, the first scooter market was Santa Monica in September of 2017. And that was Bird, one of our competitors. In that less than 1 year period, globally, the scooter industry has been valued at about $6 billion. We are one of about 12 players in that space in the United States. And then everywhere from Russia to Hong Kong, Australia to Spain, all have either their own scooter programs. We have presence in about 5 countries. These are where we're available in the United States, whether bicycles, scooters, or electric bikes. Additionally, some of our bigger markets overseas are Paris, France, Madrid, Spain, Berlin, Germany, and Zurich, Switzerland. So scooters, how they affect cities is that they provide a sort of like alternative to transportation. So it's not that we're anti-car. In fact, we are working on transit pods, which are sort of a supplement to cars. They're essentially souped up golf carts. We'll be piloting in San Diego and Seattle before the end of the year. It's all about providing additional options. It's very inefficient for those of you that know Studio City. If you live at Laurel and Riverside and you just need to get over to the Bonds right here, it's very inefficient to take a 2-ton vehicle 1 mile if you just need to grab one item. So having the option to use something other than a car is a big part of our mission. So this is what our scooters sort of look like. The top speed is 15 miles an hour. A full charge goes about 30 miles. So it just depends on how much usage it gets. How it works is that you open the app, and just like Uber or Lyft, a bunch of pins show up where all the scooters that are near you are. You walk yourself to that scooter, use your phone to lock or unlock the scooter, ride it off. It costs $1 to unlock, 15 cents per minute to ride, with the average ride being about 10 minutes, so about $2.50. For low-income individuals, if you're on any sort of assistance program, whether it's discounted utilities, SNAP, Medicaid, anything like that, you just submit that to us, and for 1 year, you get 50% off all of your rides. Then you just reapply for that every year. It's a way of providing access to underserved communities. Traditionally, a dock-based system is found in higher income areas, so this is a way of allowing everyone to have access to our products. The 3 top. Do we want to like stop in between?
I'm wondering, should we ask
Yeah.
questions as
I
we
have
go?
a
I'm fine either
Yeah.
way.
So
I do
this is
too.
my, so like.
I might get to a lot of the stuff.
Okay,
The questions
a quick question. So I get on the app like Lyft or Uber. You have my data. You have my credit card data and all these things. What do you do with that data?
Absolutely nothing. We actually have the least amount of data. We only do what's government required, which in California is a driver's license, your smartphone, and your credit card information. We don't share that with any third parties. All of the data that we do share with the cities, which we share all the movement data with cities so they can better plan how the cities are built, is anonymized.
Okay.
I had a quick question too, which was the the equity program that you mentioned, reducing by half for qualified. So, is that the same equity program that Lime will present to the city council? Because I thought I read that they agreed, contingent upon you coming back, the operators, with equity plans.
The equity plan's live already nationally, and
So
we're
that's-
working on internationally.
So that's the one
But
that you're
already in the markets we operate. It's called Lime Access. You can sign up for it today. Just go to the website. But the 3 common concerns are usually parking. People are concerned that the scooters are not parked properly. Absolutely. Safety, which usually comes down to sidewalk riding, and then data sharing, as your question was about the data. So with parking, we have a lot of in-app solutions as well as real-world solutions. With the in-app, we have little key parking icons that we drop. A lot of local businesses that we'll partner with, they might want the foot traffic drawing to their cafe, their nail salon, whatever. Also, when we work with the city, there might be public areas like the right-of-way within the sidewalk. If you park in the furniture zone, which is where traditionally you would find a fire hydrant or a phone booth or something like that that isn't blocking the right-of-way. We worked with the city to have a GPS pin drop there, encouraging riders to park there.
I was just reading something. I believe it was Lime, and we were looking at the website, and it says to park curbside, which to me is in the street next to the curb. Curbside is not on the sidewalk. So you guys are actually recommending to your users to park where any other motor vehicle would park in a parking spot. My concern is, having spent in the last few weeks a lot of time in Mar Vista, Venice, and Santa Monica, that these scooters are strewn all over the sidewalks, and most users don't even use the kickstand to put it standing up.
So a couple things I'm back there. With the curbside, that might be semantics, but I didn't draft the language, but we have, and I'll show you much onboarding on it that shows visually where curbside
Because I was
is.
surprised when I read curbside today, because I've yet to see any of them parked curbside.
I follow Residocracy.
And on the sidewalk is not curbside.
So I can take that back. So part of the
Okay.
reason we're going to the neighborhood councils is to get the feedback so that we can then, share that with people. So
And just one other quick point. We have had a problem in Studio City with valet parkers parking cars and motorcycles on the sidewalk. And, you know, state law and our police have told us anything with a motor can't park on a sidewalk. So that goes further to this point.
What would you recommend for language that you think indicates on the sidewalk facing the curb?
I would say you should recommend they park where a car or motorcycle would park.
So,
they can't.
yeah.
Because my objection is, unless you have docking, where there's some sense of organization of it being parked, I don't want them on the sidewalk ever because they get strewn. And I swear to God, on Saturday driving around those areas, I worked for Channel 2 and I was shooting news of what people were doing on Labor Day weekend. And I saw pedestrians having to walk over these things. And it's like, I can only ever support this with mandatory helmets and a city that's going to hand out a ticket without somebody wearing it, and the parking of them either in the street where cars and motorcycles parks, or some kind of arrangement with the city that you pay to have a docking facility on the sidewalk. But I can't go for this, just leave it wherever. Cannot go for that.
Okay. Do you want to pick each of those from your address, or should I continue with the presentation, or how do you want to? Or you do get to some of the parking stuff that you've brought up.
Yeah, maybe you should go with what you have, and then we come back.
Okay. Additionally, we geofence areas. So let's say there's what would I think? The Grove. You don't want people riding, or here even, coming into the lot. So we put a red geofence, and that disables the ability to end the ride within that area, or to unlock if there's a scooter in that area. And we also have zones like in Santa Monica, the beach path, that slows down the speed of the vehicle over the air so that they cannot exceed 5 miles per hour.
Where would this be?
Wherever the cities want us to do that. So we work with the city.
But it wouldn't be the beach
path in Santa Monica. Again, I'm not familiar with which beach, the one that goes parallel.
The
to
bike path
the
is
ocean.
not allowing any electric vehicles. I know that.
So over there, it just slows them down to 5 miles an hour.
But it's not allowing them on the 26-mile bike path from Pacific Palisades to Redondo Beach. They are not allowed on that.
Just an example of one of the things that we can do to discourage riding in areas that we don't want riding, which is slow down.
By satellite, then
Correct.
something tells the scooter to not run when you enter that area. Okay.
Or caps the speed.
Well, but it can't. Capping the speed is not good enough for a place that they're not supposed to be.
No, right. Those are two different areas,
Right.
but some areas you can cap the speed.
Right.
That we have available.
Is there a like Uber? They know where you. Do you have to say where you're going? Do you enter?
No, there's no end destination on there.
Okay, because I was thinking if there were something general like that, the closest docking. You could suggest areas. Safe areas for not docking, but leaving the thing, and it might encourage,
So this would be an example. So there's mandatory onboarding when you first sign up for the app. That's a whole education series of flashcards, and that onboarding stays prominent anytime you open the app. I mean, I can show you, but so if you open the app, it's always there, so you can go back to it and refresh. And it shows examples of if this is a bike lane, this is a street. These would be the areas where you would park the scooters, and here's the pedestrian right-of-way. So you're parking curbside away from where people walk. Additionally, we require photo upload.
And again, can you clarify, because it was hard to see, how are you separating that? That parking is not on the sidewalk, is what you're saying?
It is on
Or
the
are you
sidewalk.
splitting the sidewalk up?
Correct. Splitting the sidewalk up.
That's dedicated for
zone.
pedestrians.
No, the furniture zone is not dedicated for pedestrians. The places where there are fire hydrants, telephone poles,
Right.
signs, that would be the furniture zone, which is the 3 feet from the curb inward, leaving 6 feet, which is ADA compliant.
Right.
Got it.
But the thing is, you can't guarantee that somebody's going to leave one in that zone. That's the problem.
Much like texting and driving is a problem, or DUIs are a problem.
Exactly.
We're shaping user behavior. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is an 11-month-old industry. It will take some time to shape user behavior and simply educate people, which is what I'm here to do. So photo upload is another way that we combat the sidewalk. You have to upload a photo of the sidewalk parking issue. You have to upload a photo at the end of your ride demonstrating where you parked your vehicle, which then allows us to identify if someone is misparking their vehicle repeatedly. We can penalize them or even take away their privileges from using our platform.
What happens if they don't send the photo?
They can't end the ride. You have to take a photo of where you parked before you can end the ride.
Paying.
So you'll just still be charged.
They'll probably take a photo.
Is this an active feature? No?
Correct.
Is this something that only Lime is doing, or?
I can't speak to the rest of our competitors, but we are the first company to do that. Same with this game, which is Parked or Not, which we have in the app. So Parked or Not is like Tinder or Hot or Not, where you pick like yes or no on a photo that you see in there, and it could be from anywhere in the world, showing that is this a properly parked scooter, which then reinforces for the user like that's what a properly parked scooter looks like, but also helps us crowdsource that if it's marked no, it's not properly parked, that raises it to us to go review that photo, and from that photo we know who uploaded that and can go to them and be like, hey, that was not a properly parked scooter. Additionally, we have artificial intelligence that's constantly scanning all the photos and raising to us scooters that are misparked.
So you do retain that data.
The metadata of the account that uploaded the photo.
What does that mean?
So like if the photo was if it was in Paris, but somebody in Los Angeles marks it as this is not properly parked, then we know that my phone number is the phone number associated with that. I misparked that scooter, and now people in LA are saying that Paris scooter was misparked.
Okay, so so how long do you keep these phone numbers and all this data? What do you do with this
As
data?
long as you have your account. I mean, just like with Netflix, just like with Facebook, any time you have an active account, we have the data associated with that account.
So, if I may, because I think we've seen with Airbnb and maybe even Uber, that they can use that data in a great way because it's powerful. You can say, hey, those of you who love Airbnb, show up tomorrow. And is that part of it? I mean, is it like, so it is, you basically do collect.
Program, yeah.
Right,
it's a
but you do collect the
opt-in.
contact information, which is fine.
Yeah, we have to right. Just like Target does
I know
with
it's
your credit
confusing,
card. I mean,
but
otherwise we don't know who to charge.
Right, they know that it's Eric Preven and this is his cell phone, and
Right,
But that's I don't know if,
So-
and I don't even know that it's Eric. I know the credit card number and the I don't know, but you know. our
But you're
systems
saying you
know.
could do to all your account holders.
And message them.
Yesterday morning, you could have sent something to all of them in LA saying, "Come to the city council meeting."
Yes, of course.
or
Okay.
this idiot parked on the curb, and then everyone would get a blast
I guess
showing that.
because when I read about the dockless bicycles in China, because they started, if I'm correct, there earlier, there was a huge. The way the companies monetize this was through data sharing and selling
We
data.
100% do not.
So
That's,
how do
that's
you-
a different model.
Okay.
We make money on the actual rides.
Okay.
And I think we all know that what's passable in China is not passable in the United States on many levels for many things.
Well, I mean, the companies weren't Chinese.
Well, and they may be charging a lot less too. There.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That was like a revenue stream for them. That is not a revenue stream for us.
And
Good
how long
question.
does a scooter, let's say, stay on a curb? I mean, how often do you collect?
Every night.
Every night.
So yeah, I can get into operations
okay.
and how we function as well. So sidewalk riding, that's something that a lot of people are concerned about. Again, in addition to the mandatory onboarding, we have things like our videos on YouTube that we send out, as well as social media, educating people. We have sensors that we're implementing into our scooters that allow us to detect if you're riding on asphalt or on concrete. And same with the little grids. If you ride on something, you can feel the little line, every brick of concrete for a sidewalk. So when we're able to identify this person is riding on a sidewalk versus this person is riding on asphalt. And again, notifying and penalizing riders who are on sidewalks and rewarding riders who ride on asphalt.
Or any of
We
the-
also
ride
have
on the
local education that we do. So we team with organizations like local bike leagues or walking groups to hold weekly or bi-weekly classes that allow people to come and try out our products, get familiar. We do free helmet distribution. We have tons of drop-off centers. If you go into the app, you can find and just get a free helmet to help encourage people riding properly.
Do any of your cities across the U.S. actually allow riding of these on sidewalks, just out of curiosity?
One did, Denver, because of the way their regulations were written about tire size. Our tires were too small, but they've quickly changed that. And Denver is one of our very successful markets right now.
I understand correctly, you discourage riding on sidewalks?
Emphatically, 100%. We do not want people riding on sidewalks.
Well, because it's illegal.
It is not illegal to ride a bicycle on a sidewalk.
That's something with a motorized vehicle is illegal on a sidewalk.
Okay,
These are motorized.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also, it totally depends on the market. It has
Right,
to do with
I know
local
bicycles are
legislation.
legal
So
in LA.
It's in the bike
in
lane.
Hawaii, you can ride your bicycle
Yeah.
on the sidewalk if you're out of a commercial district.
So it's a bike lane then.
Correct.
So-
we view these as like bicycles 2.0. This is just a new technology, but anywhere you would take a bicycle is where you would take a scooter. You would not take it anywhere that you wouldn't
Except
take
in
a
the city of
bicycle.
LA, you can ride a bike on a sidewalk, and you can't ride one of these on a sidewalk, as opposed to West Hollywood, where you can't ride a bike on a sidewalk, and you probably can't. I don't think you can ride one of these on it either in West Hollywood.
We 100%
Yeah.
discourage sidewalk riding. We support ticketing people who ride on the sidewalks. We do not want people riding these on the sidewalks.
Okay.
Explain helmets to me again.
Helmets are a state law, so it's state by state. But in California, if you are with bicycles, if you're over the age of 16, I believe you do not need to wear a helmet. But for now, all of California requires helmets for all electric devices, including our scooters, which is why we distribute. I believe I can't get you the exact numbers, but it's thousands of helmets in Southern California alone. We do shipments of 1,000 regularly.
Okay, just in reality, that is absolutely not enforced. Is every kid that I see on an electric scooter, an electric skateboard, a hoverboard, I don't know what the name of the one-wheeled thing is.
Yeah, the unit-wheel thing. I don't know what it is, right?
I've never seen anybody wear a helmet on any of those. I've also, just on a point of regulation, is I got SHIT from a guy on the Fryman Trail. There are several people who ride electric bikes on that. And I've gotten confirmation from the rangers that the sign at the base of the Fryman Trail that says no motor vehicles does not exempt electric motor vehicles. It is motorized vehicles. I had one guy who actually I believe commutes on that cite me a state law that said motorized bicycles were allowed anywhere where non-motorized bicycles were. And, I wasn't going to argue the law with him, and he basically told me where I could go jump, and I've reported him to the ranger. I haven't seen
But
him
a bicycle is different than a scooter, because a bicycle you pedal, a scooter
I
you
understand
don't.
what I'm
Electric
saying.
bicycle.
This guy's claim was state law allows electric bicycles on things like bike paths that are off limits to other motorized vehicles.
We should probably research that claim, because I see signs in Santa Monica saying otherwise.
Well, and I got confirmation from the rangers who went to the state ranger thing in Santa Monica and said, yes, that sign means no motorized vehicles. It does not exempt the one. There's a kid who rides the one-wheeled thing up and down the trail. It's motor vehicles, period.
But also to be clear, I work for Lime. I don't work for the city or the
Right.
state. I can't do anything
I'm-
about children
I'm-
not wearing helmets or people riding on the bike trail. I can just tell you what we do to discourage that,
Right.
including support
Well,
local
and the
law
city
enforcement
to grant
agencies.
you access can say you have to have so much in insurance liability
We have
because
some-
of there's extra risk because a lot
Well,
of the users
We
aren't using
indemnify every
helmets.
city we operate
Right,
in.
and our council member from CD2, Paul Krikorian, raised the coverage that you're supposed to carry from 1 million to 5 million per. But I do have questions about liability that maybe now, I don't know if it's liability, but safety, because, scooters don't protect, there's no airbag at all. Right? So, and they're running next to all these other vehicles that have protections around it's like talking about bicycles sort of, but how are people not going to be inadvertently
Smashed.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as a bicycle.
Oh.
It's exactly, you just have to,
Right.
it's just shaping our thinking
But-
around these vehicles,
but-
but it is safer
So
than
the
a
li-
bicycle
okay.
in that you are actually 1 foot off the ground and upright, not seated and pedaling. 18 to 24 inches off of the ground.
I mean, it's true that you won't fall as far, but it does not. I mean, I'm thinking about my children or about my mother or myself. It just, it is a concern. But it's a concern,
Absolutely.
and people opt in. That's the point. So there's the fine print, because the city is making clear that they don't want to get involved in paying lawsuits. And for the record, we paid in last year alone, I know of 3 cases that I can name, Gabat, Godefroy, and Yao, $20 million for people who were riding their bikes and fell in a hole or bumped on a rock, and we paid. So I'm worried now, okay, so they say the city doesn't pay.
But the city, someone deemed the city was at fault for that?
Yeah, people,
Okay.
lawyers are good at what they do. So, that's what they did. They claimed that the city was at fault. Now, let's play it out here. We've got 10,500 for the first company, for the second company. Pretty soon we may have 100,000 of these things all over the place. We have bad infrastructure. So, they're not going to sue you, because I assume that there's some nasty fine print when you get in that it's at your own risk, right? Or do you?
Right, of course.
You're not covering anybody, right?
Correct.
But are you covering people with insurance?
We don't provide. We're not an insurance provider. We provide the vehicles, much like Enterprise.
But if you
or-
pick up the phone and go, okay, I'll try it. Can I click on a button that says I'm insured now?
We don't provide insurance.
No, can you don't sell?
You don't
rental
sell.
car companies.
No.
Well, rental car
Correct.
companies give you it's often
Option.
expensive, but they give you
Correct.
that's something that you
So
should
that's-
look at, because I got to tell you, I don't like the idea of the floating liability, because just as a nervous Nelly, and I'm not exactly the nerviest of all the Nellies.
But also, can I ask, what kind of insurance are you thinking? Like for injury? So wouldn't health
Liability.
insurance?
Like when I go over and
Liability.
have my shoulder near my ear for 2 weeks and have to get surgery on my leg, who's paying?
That's physical liability.
Maybe you could say you have health insurance, Mr. Preven.
Comprehensive is for the car itself, which you wouldn't need necessarily.
Right.
I assume if someone damages the scooter,
We don't care. That's
Well,
okay.
what do you
But
mean?
if you
Don't you
damage
send
the
them a bill
body-
for it?
No, we have never, unless you intentionally destroy something. But then again, we send it to the police.
so if they physically are hurt, that's physical liability. That would be the insurance that they would want to take
So
on.
you're proposing like supplemental to your health insurance. So for medical damages, like
yeah, it's
what?
not health.
Okay.
It's different.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a good idea. I'm not going to ride one necessarily, but if somebody,
Please don't.
I don't know. I just feel like you should be able to
I'm
be
wondering
covered.
If you have a driver's license,
when you
it's
break
not
your
covered
leg.
With your drive, if you're, is it
But you don't
considered
need a
vehi-
driver's license.
But the
I thought
equity
you said They had
program,
to have a driver's license.
You have to have a
Yeah.
you have to upload a photo or ID. But
Oh,
if
so
you're
you don't
over
have to
18.
have a
Oh,
driver's
yeah.
license.
the other,
So-
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you don't have to. I mean, I'm not saying people honor what they have to know to pass the driver's test, but there's none of that. You don't have to have any knowledge of the rules of the road. And my question is, you're a bicyclist. What is the average speed when you're biking? Is it the same as one of these scooters, or how do they
frankly,
work
if-
together?
If you want to get into that, I would like to clarify, we have terrible bike infrastructure in this city.
Yeah.
And so riding not on the sidewalk essentially means riding in the street, which I fully support.
Yeah.
I'm a full-time cyclist.
I have been for 14 years until I got the scooter.
Okay, so.
Did you scooter over here?
No,
Oh.
I don't have a fleet of scooters. I live in Honolulu.
Oh.
I have a rental car here. So they brought me here for the month
So-
to do the
so-
government relations work.
So there is, also you don't need a license to
ride a bicycle, correct.
So these are factors. I do have a question. How do these things get charged if they're dockless?
We collect them every night. Well, there's two ways of doing it. One is that we have right now about 80 full-time operations specialists, 24 hours a day, working for Lime, just handling the scooters. We put them out every morning. We rebalance them throughout the day if they're blocking something or if someone wants one moved. We collect them every night and charge them. Additionally, we have a program called the Juicer program that anybody can sign up for. And every night, I believe in LA it's starting at 9 p.m. It changes market to market. All the scooters come up with a bounty on them ranging from $5 to $20. And you can go and grab that scooter, take it home and charge it, and put it out the next morning, and we will pay you whatever the bounty is. It ranges on $5 to
So
There's
$20.
my
It
part-time
changes
job.
dynamically
Oh, yeah.
based on where the scooter is located, when it was last used, all that stuff. So that determines how much we
Okay,
pay
so the
per
scooters
scooter.
are not available for use at night?
Correct.
Okay.
Do they automatically have a shutdown time then?
Interesting.
I think it depends market to market.
Yeah.
I can find out about LA if we have an
So-
automatic.
So in answer to Joe's question, that is a huge concern to me about.
At night.
No, not night. You get back, what is the speed of...
Yeah, because bikes go so fast.
Well, okay, so what I want to say about this is I understand and I'm very encouraged by what you say about these red, I can't remember, these red zones.
Geofenced areas.
Geofenced area. I understand your technology about detecting cracks in sidewalks. However, to my knowledge, if you're using GPS, and I'm very, very familiar with the Santa Monica Beach bike path, bikes are not allowed on the boardwalk, which is not a boardwalk, it's asphalt. It's the section that runs next to the storefronts. Bikes are not allowed on that. Bikes are allowed only on that serpentine path.
The cement.
It's a serpentine path that's closer to the beach, and it goes all the way from Marina Del Rey all the way up to north. Okay, so that's separated. My understanding, I'm a technologist also, is I do not believe that you can detect the difference, that those are separated by 5 feet in places. I don't believe you can detect the difference between that bike path and the other. So that's a concern. My major concern about these is speed. Okay? And so geofencing not to the side, what is the governor on them?
15 miles per hour.
15 miles per hour.
14.8 actually.
And I thought I heard yesterday
it's
that the city council here wanted them to be 12. And I don't know if that passed or not.
It's completely over the air. So what happened yesterday was just that they're agreeing, they put forward draft regulations. That's all still changing and subject to change.
What is that? How fast do you go?
So my concern is I have somebody posted to Nextdoor, and Nextdoor is Nextdoor, but they said 12 to 20 miles an hour, and they said bicycles go 20 miles an hour. I'm a full-time cyclist. Riding at 20 miles an hour is very, very difficult.
Unless you're going down a hill.
I bike at 25 miles an hour.
Okay, well, you should be in the Tour de France. Okay?
No,
okay,
it's just a specialized service bicycle, nothing fabulous.
On a level path, 20 miles an hour is cranking it. You also have, with a bicycle, you have a built-in deterrent to that. It's hard to do. Okay,
Right.
It's not a twist of the wrist and going like that. I've seen people speeding up and down the sidewalks here, and I just took this picture 5 minutes before I attended this.
So this is fresh off the press?
This is fresh off the presses.
This is
Was it a bicycle?
No, it's just,
And
there
an
is a company
exclusive.
called Ryan, which is selling scooters, which brings an Airstream trailer. They've been there for 2 months now to the little fitness place there, and they're offering free rides
near
inside
Rusty's.
them.
Yeah.
Right near Rusty's. Okay, I just took this picture.
60 miles an hour.
Ryan, 60 miles an hour top speed, up to 40 miles an hour range. Yada yada. I
You
understand
buy
this.
them? You own them, you mean?
This is for sale. These are not the dockless ones. But I have seen kids on, I don't know whether they were owned or rented, but cruising down the sidewalk at 20 miles an hour.
I can't speak to that.
So
I can
again,
only speak to
I
online.
understand.
But you make a good point, which is that it's very fast. 15 is fast too, and if you fall off
15
anything
on
at
a
15,
sidewalk
it's hard.
is very,
Anywhere,
very
anywhere. If you fall off at 15 miles an hour,
Okay,
possible injury.
your concern is falling off.
Right.
My concern is damaging pedestrians.
You could lose your
Right.
house.
And
But you're not allowed to do it on the sidewalk.
I understand,
okay.
but
They go in the
they're on
street
the
too.
sidewalk.
Okay.
When I ride on the
Good point.
sidewalk,
Pedestrians on the street.
when I ride on the sidewalk, and I do ride occasionally on the sidewalk, particularly from Tahunga to Berry, because it's deadly to be on Ventura Boulevard in that stretch. It's even hard to be on a car.
You got the curve too.
You've got the curve there, and I have to turn left onto Berry to go to my house. It's out of the question to try to make that left turn on a bicycle. So I ride on the sidewalk in very limited places. When I'm on a sidewalk, I'm riding 8 miles an hour tops. Okay, and I'm not as fast as you, but I can pull 20 miles an hour
Well,
on the flats. So that's my concern.
My
is-
question, I wonder how they would mesh with bikes, but I guess this is another concern for me, is we don't have enough, I don't know about Hawaii, we're way understaffed with police here. Just aren't enough police officers, men and women. So, I mean, there's going to be virtually no enforcement unless someone has a gun as they're going, one hand shooting
You mean
and
the
one
radar gun? Oh, wait.
No, I mean, I'm just saying there's no way to, there's no one who can enforce any infractions that, like helmet
Did you
or
say
anything
you have
else.
a way to know when they're going too fast or no?
we can over the air govern. So our scooters, like in the areas that we want, let's say, I don't know, this bike path that it seems very controversial, but I was told that it's 5 miles an hour, that we are able to reduce the speed.
Can they go over 15?
Some, I think Bird scooters might be able to go 17, but again, everything's handled over the air so that they can cap it. So even if it's physically capable, much like a Ferrari can go, I don't know, 150 miles an hour, but we don't allow Ferraris to go 150 miles an hour.
And are they
As a society, we've decided that that's unacceptable.
Are they silent, basically?
Pretty quiet.
Because
they have a little whirring sound.
Because with even electric cars, they come right up on you. I mean, it's another danger to me. You can't.
So I'm glad you brought up cars. I mean, I think something to just take a breath and think about for a minute. I can't imagine any of you are happy with the traffic, emissions, or parking issues that we have in Los Angeles. So how do we start a change without starting a change? It takes time. It's been 11 months that this entire industry has existed. So to want solutions within 11 months is...
I thought you started in January 2017. That's
scooters, our bicycles. We started January 2017. We're a multimodal company. So change takes time, and it's a new technology, and I think something that is overlooked often is, I don't know if any of you watched the Facebook Senate hearings, but Facebook, Amazon, they did not come to governments and say, please regulate us in their infancy. We are doing that. We are asking governments to regulate us. We are trying to come up with a solution to build a better world.
Oh, I don't know about that. When you put the vehicles, you and Bird, in cities like LA before there was ever any regulation, and then all of a sudden the city council says, "Oh, we're going to shut you down until we do regulations."
But they didn't shut us down because there was nothing preventing us from operating. We are a legal business. In fact, Joe Buscano invited us to operate in his market.
Right, but others.
But Paul Koretz,
same with Santa Monica.
Paul Koretz called for a ban.
Right.
And so I think that it's controversial. Everybody understands this market model, which is put them out there, show that people will use them, and then increase the numbers, because that's how you make the money, as you point out. Because they cost something to make, and at $250 a ride, you got to have a lot of rides. So we understand that.
Should I?
My other concern, as we're expressing these.
I think so. Why don't we let them finish and then go from there?
So then the data, that is something else that, again, you have to think about in a much grander scheme. Right now, city governments have no idea what's going on their roads outside of a visual count. By having someone there, how many cars pass through this intersection, how many left turns are being made, we are able to share all of the movement data, again, anonymized, which is saying scooters are moving. Let's say 50% of the scooters are going down Moore Park and only 5% are going down Tahunga. That's useful data for the city to have, and to be like, hey, maybe if we're repaving a road, we should focus on Moore Park since that sees a lot more usage than Tahunga. Right now, they don't have any of that data. We give all of that movement data to cities for free. They all get dashboards that allow them to log in real time and see, hey, of the 10,000 scooters that are in San Diego, 90% of them are focused in the gas lamp. How do we get more access to, I don't know what the lower income areas of San Diego are, but how do we get more product into these lower income areas and provide access to these places? This is real data that's very functional for urban planning that cities don't have, and we're the only provider that does this from the start. I believe Bird is trying to implement this right now. But we provide all of that data for free. Again, we are knocking on government's door saying, let's collaborate, let's work together, let's figure this out. How can we support your initiatives? So on the operations front, I mentioned, we put the scooters out. It's different per market. It depends on what the regulation is. We put them out in the morning. They operate all day. We have 24-hour operations. We have people on the ground. If a scooter is, let's say, blocking an entrance or something like that, someone wants it moved, all of our contact information, phone, text, and email, is on the individual scooter as well as in our app. We also integrate into a city's 311 system and have a less than 2-hour response time from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Excuse me. So you're asking the city to get the?
No, we get them. But so if you call 311 in cities that have 311, it notifies us.
But when we call 311, you sit on the line for half an hour before they answer.
You can call, text, and email us directly.
But my point when I was saying
dockable... Let me just finish this, and then we'll do a Q&A. Let me just finish this, and then we'll do a Q&A. So So then, you guys don't really care about that. This would be an example of Seattle, where it's working very, very well. In fact, Seattle keeps asking us to increase our fleet size. People start to self-govern and park properly once they know. Most people do not just double park their cars or park in the middle of Ventura Boulevard, even if they have the money.
You'd be surprised.
We know that
In
most people,
Studio
we know that
City.
most people do not do that. We know the vast, vast, vast majority of people do not do that. We know the vast, vast, vast majority of people do not drink and drive.
It
I
only
can't
takes
speak
the
to
1% though to make it terrible for everybody else.
Sure. So self-governance is working in communities that are embracing this, that we're working together to provide education by working with government. Lake Tahoe is another place that's been working fabulously. We distribute helmets at any fire department. You can go in and just grab a helmet, so even if you're just visiting for the weekend, you can get a free helmet. Additionally, this would be, so for the parking, in Seattle, we have painted parking corrals that don't take up any parking space. They're usually at the end of the row of cars. There's usually like 10 or 15 feet of red curb area before a stop sign that gets painted out and becomes an agnostic, dock-free parking station. So it's not just line products, but any product can go there. This also helps with turning because people are not able to turn as closely to the curb, but they have to stay almost a car's width away from the stop signs when making a right or left turn. And if you all want to pull out your phones, this last slide is just my contact information. So if you want to take a picture, anytime you have a question, you can email me and I will send it off.
Can you tell us your email?
Sure. It's Nima, N-I-M-A, .Davari, D as in David, A-I, V as in Victor, A-R-I, at li.me. Our website is li.me.
Oh, okay.
So in addition to the digital parking spots, the physically painted parking spots, and the education, that's how we're dealing with the parking. With the sidewalk riding, all of our information, including your mandatory onboarding and on the device itself, do not ride on the sidewalks. Helmets are state by state, so it's sort of hard to have like a grand system, but we educate people. In Santa Monica, all of our scooters have a tag hanging on them for tourists that say you need to wear a helmet when riding. In California, you need to upload your driver's license. You can't even go forward without uploading your driver's license. And to stay off the beach path.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
That
That was it, so we can have all the questions.
So you have vans, I take it. They're like locked when they're not in use. You have to unlock
Correct.
them.
The back wheel is self-locking.
Right, okay.
And so you can like drag it kind of.
Right, because if someone's going to... Okay.
Like a grocery cart.
I get it. I've
Correct.
had
And if you mess with it too much, it will set off an alarm that's,
Okay.
like a car alarm.
How much do they weigh?
About 29 pounds. We have 4 different models. So they're all pretty similar, and each market has like a different model for no reason other than supply.
Regarding calling you or 311 if something is parked where it shouldn't be, I don't want to have to stop my day to place that call. Do you know what I'm saying? I want them to not be scattered all over to begin with. I shouldn't have to take my time to call something in like that. God knows I call in enough stuff already, like in Studio City, and this isn't one more I want to add.
What is your solution to emissions and traffic?
My solution for this is just that you have dockable racks in places.
We know from all the data. I mean, dock-based systems have existed for about 7-8 years now in the United States. They dramatically favor upper middle class people. They don't put docks in Watts.
They could.
They also take up parking and sidewalk, which is what people don't want taken up.
Not
They're
the
also
part
not
of the
dynamic.
sidewalk that you're saying people don't walk on.
No, the docking stations are not less than 3 feet. Our scooters are. Our scooters are very tiny, but if you've seen any of these dock stations, they are not.
They're usually
They're
not
also
much
significantly
longer
more
than the
expensive, and
bicycle.
they're not dynamic.
But-
So if, let's say, we have our hot spots in the morning where the scooters are dropped off, if there's a parade that day, then we don't deploy them there. When the docking stations are there, they do not get moved.
I'll
to
say
the
this, that
parade.
it's possible to have a dynamic docking station. I mean, in other words, it's a good idea to think about, right?
Well, it takes a forklift to move most of these docking stations, so it's not like able to move in, one
You could
night's
have
notice.
virtual, though. And there's like
We do
a
have
discount or something
Mm-hmm.
for, you could herd.
So that's another.
You know
I mean,
what I'm saying? You
that's
can
ahead.
do
We're
it
not,
in a reward-based.
Right, so that's
behavior.
you're a little ahead of where we're at right now, but we are working at putting like if you park your scooter, let's say you want to take it home. So that's the other thing. we have found that the first mile, last mile solution, which is usually people have to go about 1 mile between, let's say, a bus stop or their end point and their start point. Filling that in is part of what makes Dock Free successful. So if I have to walk 10 minutes to get to a docking station, to go on a 10-minute bike ride, and then 10-minute walk at the end, I'm not going to use that. That now made my 10-minute commute a 30-minute commute. But if I can pick up a scooter at Vaughn's and take it straight to my apartment building and leave it in front at a bike rack or properly parked by a sign or wherever I would properly park a vehicle, then I'm more inclined to use that and not use my car.
Can you take it to a single-family residence in a residential neighborhood?
Absolutely. And we are incentivized to move it out of that neighborhood, because if you live up in the hills and you ride it home and it sits there, no one's using it.
Right.
We want it back into an area that's high density.
That leads me to who is doing the collecting and how much are they paid?
We are.
No, I mean, because I read an article, I think it was in Atlantic, by a man who worked for a bicycle, dockless bicycle thing, and it was a really brutal employee situation. They were underpaid. They went to homeless shelters and got people. They worked way more than, for much less than minimum wage, and he said it was they weren't cared for. They were lifting bikes, and I'm wondering, is this going to give people jobs?
This was in the United States?
Yes.
They were paid less than minimum wage?
Yes.
You want
I
the
mean, I
number?
can't speak to illegal businesses. I mean, you're asking
No,
me to,
I'm
like,
saying
we pay above minimum
the
wage.
hours. I'm just saying, is this going to provide jobs? Is this something?
Right now
sounds
we have
like
80, 80 full-time people in Los
Are
Angeles.
they driving electric cars to pick these up?
Some of our cars are electric, but we have vans,
That's
so it's
putting
hard.
a lot of pollution in the air.
I
Kind of
mean,
counters, right?
Well, so I believe we're at around 10,000 rides per day in Los Angeles right now. So, and we know from user surveys that about 50% of our riders would have taken a car if the scooter was not
a
available.
bicycle.
Well, that's-
Correct. They would have taken a Lyft, Uber, personal vehicle, or taxi, and that's based on a 7,000 person survey in San Francisco, and I believe a 3,000 person survey in Denver, and it was consistent in both markets that about 50% would have been using a car.
But you know, we
Our
have
average ride is about 0.7 miles, which we also know that is just long enough that people usually do not walk that distance.
Well,
If they need to walk 0.7 miles, they're electing to drive instead.
That is, coming to this meeting, that's one of my major concerns. And I hear your statistics. I also believe, who was it?
Actually.
Will Rogers or somebody said, statistics don't lie, but liars do statistics or stuff. I'm very skeptical about statistics in general, particularly when generated by the Los Angeles Homeless Shelter Association. But my perception of this, my other big concern about this, because I am a full-time alternative transportation person. I get beat up at this committee all the time for being that. Is my perception of this is that this is not replacing car trips. This is replacing walking trips. Okay.
He just
we
said
know that that's
they
untrue.
replaced the Uber and
I said, this is statistics gathered by a company that has a vested interest.
That's kind of rude to say.
I'm sorry.
Why don't we just let him speak and then
I have
we'll
let
vote?
him speak.
Okay.
Can
all right.
you let me do?
Yeah, but you're basically accusing them of lying. I'm sorry, that bothers me.
That's fine.
Okay.
Point taken.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean it personally. So again, I understand I get beaten up in this committee all the time for proposing bicycle commuting, and the beat up is nobody would ride a bicycle, and I've told you, you're a much stronger bicyclist than I am. But
they also don't ride bicycles. So in markets in markets where we have bicycles and scooters, we have 5 times the usage of scooters over bicycles.
And
because a woman in heels, a woman in a skirt, a man who's physically unwell, a man who's missing one leg, we have all this photo evidence of people using our scooters that are not able to use bicycles.
That's great for those people, and I think it's a great alternative. However, as I said, I feel, and maybe I'm the exception here, I get beat up all the time about this, I walked a mile to get here to this meeting from my house.
But you live in LA. You know for a fact that most people do not walk 1 mile.
And what I'm just saying is, maybe we should be encouraging people to walk a mile.
But we're not discouraging them from walking. LA Walks, Walk LA, these are organizations that we also partner with to try to support.
I'm just concerned that I understand the first mile, last mile thing. That's also presuming that people will take mass transportation, which we know Los Angelinos are allergic to mass transportation.
So what about the purple line to go, all these lines that are being used every single day?
They are being
30% of our rides across all markets stop or start at a public transit station.
And that's, that kind of thing, I think, is fine. Although again, if it's a mile, I don't see why you don't just walk, but that's me.
You know, I think that years ago I used to teach, and I was at a college campus. I think it's a perfect thing, a perfect model for college campuses, college towns, certain areas that have that kind of, very savvy users that know how to, their app, intuitive and all that stuff. I think it's a great idea. I think that what concerns me a little, just to go back, which has nothing to do with you, it's just the city. It's not built, it's not a good walkers city, and it's not a good bicycle city, certainly. And to add another, vulnerable sort of mode of transportation on our already sort of challenged streets worries me a little. And also, again, there is no enforcement really of any infraction. But, I think there are areas in which it would be very, I could see it being extremely useful and fun.
So
and
we've
all
committed
those
$1.5 million to building more bike lanes in Santa Monica specifically. That was a part of our Santa Monica
I follow
process.
Residocracy Santa Monica. If you read this, that's all the people in Santa Monica complain about that and homeless. Look at all this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts and
Bike
complaints.
lanes
Bike lanes
for
are
bikes,
Just in the
For
past few
scooters.
weeks.
not scooters.
No, for all low-speed vehicles.
Okay.
But bike lanes is
I
the
think
language
it's fun
that we
though,
use.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't
bike
mean to
lanes
be
is the language we
negative.
use because that's what people understand. But if we're trying to talk like semantics, we would prefer that those lanes be dedicated to like low-speed, lightweight vehicle lanes. So anything that goes under 20 miles an hour, anything that weighs less than 40 pounds, it's up to the cities to decide how they want to define it.
They're generally called
Multi-use.
multi-purpose
Yeah.
lanes.
I just wanted to mention, though, one other thing about LA, in that we have hundreds of neighborhoods, single-family home neighborhoods in this city that
88,
range.
actually.
What's that?
88. There are 88 neighborhood councils. We have 88
No,
of them
but
within
within neighborhood councils, like Studio City has several different neighborhoods. So there's hundreds of neighborhoods beyond the neighborhood councils, and they go from, they're all socioeconomical groupings. But I can tell you from driving around the city of LA over many years, I always notice that there's, in any neighborhood, no matter how wealthy or poor it is, there's always several more streets than not that you can tell people take a pride when they've got that single-family home ownership, more than streets with apartments and stuff. And when I drive down those streets, you can tell the pride in South Central LA. You can also tell it in Mar Vista. But in Mar Vista, it looks like a war zone with all these bikes at, not just the corner, but blocking the sidewalks. And it's like driving down the street with the one homeowner whose kids have left all their toys out, and it spoils the neighborhood. And that's where I'm coming from. And I don't feel that the companies like yours and others get that, where we're coming from on that. I know you're out to get different forms of transportation out there, but you don't get where a lot of people are coming from. The old saying, a man's home is his castle, is still really true for a lot of single-family homeowners in LA. And I see neighborhoods, just like I said, they look like a war zone driving through them.
I mean, that's a little bit of hyperbole. It's not a war zone. There's just
But,
scooters that need
but
to
they're
be
just dropped
balanced.
everywhere, and they're not even standing up.
But
And
we're
I
working.
realize they get picked up at night, as you're saying, but that doesn't stop me from, when I'm coming home from work, seeing them like that as I drive through the neighborhood, and my neighbors do the same thing. So that's just something I wanted to point out for you guys to possibly just think from the other side of neighborhoods, not necessarily business streets, because they may want it, but neighborhoods, I can just see, are going to have issues with this. I'm done.
Well, according to what you said, they have to upload a picture of where they're docked for your company.
Correct.
So we have a problem with other companies in this city. There was a Bird scooter parked, I was in Westwood today, and it was parked right up in front of the door to a big building. It was standing up though.
And I mean, you can do the research too. Like,
But
Bird
I
has been-
understand that up in Northridge, it's a god-awful mess. God-awful mess.
So you can
Well, and
do
there's
the
nothing to
research
keep
yourself,
somebody
so it's
from
not
tipping
just
them
a
over
thyroid.
either.
But,
So
but
our-
this company can't organize all the
Change
other
them,
companies.
yeah.
They can't.
No,
they can't fix
no.
that.
But I'm saying theirs can be tipped over despite the fact that the user shot them a picture of it standing up. 3
We
minutes
receive a
later, it
notice
can
if
be
a-
over.
We receive a notice if a scooter is tipped over. We know, just like your iPhone has a gyrometer in it, we know when a scooter is down versus up, and we send a team out to set it back upright if it is tipped over.
Okay.
Other scooter companies do not have that technology in their scooters.
Yeah.
My concern
guess.
is that there's an uptick in ERs of serious facial injuries from falls off scooters. And the helmet thing just keeps coming up for me.
In 2010, I used to ride a moped. In 2010, in front of Warner Brothers, when I was leaving work, I was hit by a car and dragged for 63 feet while I was trapped underneath it. This is after $30,000 of plastic surgery. This is after $30,000 of plastic surgery. I have 7 broken bones in my body. Both of my lungs were bruised. Lost a chunk of my thumb. I'm still riding because that is part of the assumption of risk when you choose to take an alternative mode of transportation. Just like when you ride a bicycle, just like when you ride a motorcycle, just like when you rollerblade, just like when you skateboard.
Skydive.
Okay. I have a question.
And
Yeah.
we need to get to
Then
the end.
My last question is, and it's philosophical, but it's something I think you guys really have to. All the stuff about lowering emissions and being less, destructive in your mode of transportation, you are really reinforcing this disposable mentality, this drop it mentality. And I don't think that in the end, even though, and someone's going to come clean up your mess at night, these invisible people are going to come and pick it up and put it away. That is not, though I understand it from your point of view in terms of a practical business model and everything, that is not a mindset that really is responsible in terms of the environment or society or how we treat things or people or places. And that's where I think, whether it's subconscious or conscious, there's a real friction. Because to people who don't use it, who live somewhere or go somewhere where they, like my daughter lives near Park La Brea, they're all over there. They're all over there. It's really annoying. You get mad. You go like, wait, they're just throwing stuff. It's not. It's like they're just throwing them anywhere. It's sort of like an FU to anybody who's walking or driving. And yet they're doing a very environmentally responsible choice. Okay, but somehow it's the accessibility. If somehow there can be built in some more responsible connection to your environment where you leave it, where you pick it up. I don't know how. But
let me be super clear that we don't want to run around every night and fix all these problems. We would love it if everything was parked properly. We're just being patient, and that takes time. But internally at the company, we're just waiting for the day that we start turning off the accounts for the people who are misusing the product or misparking the product. But we can't expect people. Again, we can't get people to stop drinking and driving in 2018. Plastered driving. It takes time to shape user behavior. This is a completely new technology.
I just have a question about the night, because it gets dark, and especially one part of the year it gets dark fairly early. And if it's people coming home from the metro, I mean, does the model fall apart if we don't have lights on these things? And
They all have, yeah. So
they have lights, but you can't use them at
tail
night.
Lights and floorboard lights, so the ground underneath you.
But not use at night, or use at night.
Well, I mean, from dusk till whenever, I think visibility just continues to decrease. The lights are on all the time. As soon as you turn on a device, the headlight is on, which I don't know the ampage of the headlight, but it's incredibly bright. As well as the tail light. Also, it has a brake light on it, so it blinks when you're braking. And there is underlighting LED, so the ground is lit, which doesn't do anything for visibility for the rider, but just lets other people see there's an illuminated device moving.
Yeah. Okay.
My personal bike helmet lights up as well. Which again, I'm very much a helmet person after my accident, and I was before my accident, and it very much pushed for that.
I'm sorry. I was reading that the reason why Lime is not pushing helmets is because you're going to lose half your base.
I can't speak. We do push helmets, so right now you can order a free helmet on the app. Like everyone has
I was
that
reading
access.
articles that says that's why you're not really enforcing it.
Yeah, I'm actually going tomorrow to the Santa Monica Tourism and Travel Board. They have 4 kiosks throughout Santa Monica, and we're going to be doing drop-offs of helmets there like every week, and they're just going to stream from any of those 4 kiosks in Santa Monica.
Yeah, but they have to wear them. I mean, it's nice to get them out.
I can't control what people do.
I know.
Actually, you can if you've got AI to track where it is. You can track where the helmet is.
Well, we can
Have
track. We track the scooter, not the individual.
You
So
can't
I
figure out a way to.
It's
like
figure-outable,
the heat,
but it's not
the
desirable.
warmth, like or something. You know, it's like.
Okay. Well, thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Yeah, very good presentation.
Very
Very
enlightening.
good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like kind of show.
I know, like a mood ring where it turns red.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
my proposal is that we not do a motion tonight for a couple of reasons. Time,
Right.
and also we are not under any deadline because of city council action
Right.
yesterday, and re-meet maybe between our meetings either in October or November. And also it'll give us all 1 month or 2 months to see what we hear about
Right.
more stuff being rolled out in LA.
Maybe you could
Are
come
you
back.
rolling out in Studio City soon?
I would assume so. Once we have, I don't know what's going on with the regulations right now. So I think yesterday they said that they agreed they want to move forward with regulations, and they put forth the draft regulations, but they're going to adopt in the next week or two what the actual regulations are going to be.
For this first year.
Right. So then it's up to whoever's managing the local market operations to decide which communities to go into. I believe the cap is 10,500.
Yeah, it is.
So it'll be distributed, and I believe within that cap, half of that 10,500 needs to be in low-income areas.
Right.
So
Is
probably
that in the
not by
entire
USC.
city or per council
That's the
district?
entire
In the
city.
valley and
That's
in
the entire
different
city of
areas,
LA. So that's outside my wheelhouse. That's handled by the local operations team here. They have a GM, ops manager, and then the AD operations specialists and mechanics who handle the scooters. Something that I think you should also just be aware of is that this is how we build more bike lanes. Like, this is how you get people to say we want more multi-use lanes. This is how we get more
Well,
people out
in
of
Santa
cars.
Monica, maybe. In LA, it's only going to be if the money you pay the city gets specifically earmarked for it. And our city government has a tendency not to earmark it, and then we get screwed.
Right.
And they're making all this money, but it's not going towards what it's for.
That's what the people do. I mean,
Yeah.
both the elected
But
officials and
Yeah.
all
something to
those
think
things.
about in a constructive
How do we
sense.
become
Right.
Amsterdam? We can't. It
Right.
has to have to start
Well,
somewhere.
but we're not Amsterdam. We're
But
never.
how do we become that?
Well,
And I mean,
I
the
know.
model of like
It's a
having
tough question. It's a
infrastructure
tough
in place.
question because we can't get there, but we can try to do good things.
We absolutely can get there. It's
To-
not gonna
to
happen
Amsterdam?
tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, we
to
could debate
having
that
lanes
another time.
everywhere.
Right. Maybe.
It's just a choice of how we build our cities.
Maybe, but but there's a limited amount of space in the world, and I don't know if we can get to Amsterdam. Maybe, but I have a question or a point that maybe you could take as a constructive idea, which is, we all struggle with enforcement, not just in your area, but in all areas, because we have a dwindled force, and I don't know why, but if the companies had ideas about how to be enforcement oriented, so that it was really hard to misuse the equipment, and that it would immediately be bumped from using it, that would be a good thing. Now, that fights a natural instinct, which is to expand, and get more and more. So we know that, but still, thinking about, if you care about the people who sit in the neighborhood councils and are not young and strong, but still have...
That's why I'm here.
No, I know, you're young and strong.
No.
But we got
We're
that.
here
No,
to-
you get my
yeah.
point. My point is, every single person in who knows about city government is going to go, enforcement? Yeah, right. Because we don't enforce anything.
Yeah.
So that's a big hole for us. Now, to throw your hands up and say, well, we're not an enforcement company, we're a scooter company, is what you're going to have to say. But if you could think about what are the ways, and you have,
Yeah,
obviously,
like the
right.
photo upload would be a
The
great
photo
example
upload
of
is a good
marketing
example,
enforcement,
right?
yeah.
And that most of us didn't know about that, so that's great news. But I'm just thinking, that will get people on board more, I think. If they had a sense that there were ramifications for the people who, because if you catch your breath when someone comes whipping by and does something illegal and go, Jesus, and you try to, that's not a good solution. 311 is not a good solution for us. Now, I don't know. There's no magic wand, and again, I've
And
heard
LA
1,000
is a,
times
like,
we can't regulate stupidity. I'm so tired of that expression,
Right.
so let's not use it. But some help would be good in that area.
I will, again, like the reason they want me going to these neighborhood councils is
Yeah.
because of my personal history with alternative transportation, because, you know, I have 2 law degrees, because I believe in what we're doing. I'm not a tech guy or an entrepreneur.
Right.
I'm strictly an alternative transportation person.
And government affairs specialist.
Yes, but so enforcement, that's actually really good feedback. I think LA is also like a bit of a special market, but like in, for instance, Seattle, we work very, very closely with the Seattle Police Department. We've had anytime they want information, anytime we get a subpoena, like here's all we have, which is limited information, we work very closely. Oh, a great story you can Google, Dallas Police Department. Dallas has been an active market for over a year now. They said they've seen virtually 0 problems with dock-free scooters and bicycles, and you can Google that. It was on the record with the Dallas, whatever the local Dallas paper is, chief of police. They did a whole, it's like maybe a month ago. It's like a 3-page story. They've had 4 criminal incidents and like a handful of injuries. But they said they've seen virtually 0 problems given the size of the fleet there.
The
And they have
orthopedists
bicycles,
must
e-bikes,
love you
and-
guys.
Okay.
They have bicycles, e-bikes, and scooters in Dallas.
I'm making a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I was
We have
gonna
another
ask one
meeting,
more
that's
Sure.
why.
Yeah.
You said
And feel free to email me any questions.
you mentioned that it comes in handy going to the market. Well, when I go to the market, I've got to. How in the world do you carry that stuff on a scooter?
Backpack.
On your backpack? Okay.
Well,
And
or
we
like
actually
he
we
said,
give away
we're gonna
backpacks at
get
a lot of our like
couple
expos.
All right,
and fairs.
because I was picturing how do I balance myself on this? Okay.
Backpack.
Thank you, Nima.
You're very welcome.
much.
Thank
You all
you.
have my email. Please
Thanks.
don't hesitate to email.
And when we eventually, if we have any motion for our board, we'll let you know
What does
when
that
the
mean?
meeting is. It's
If
the
there's a
third
motion.
meeting of the
19th.
third Wednesday of the month, but it's not going to be this month. So
But when there is a motion and if it passes or fails, what does that mean? In
it would
terms
just
of,
go to city council on
like an official position.
We're
that
just
the council
advisory.
takes?
a,
Yeah,
right,
we're not-
a
call it a-
position on where they go pretty much after this year is up.
Got it. And you are the transportation committee. So let's say we were going to come here and we're like, so where should we put that? Or,
Transportation and government affairs,
Yeah.
both.
so this would be the committee.
This is a
Yep.
double meeting.
We appreciate you reaching out, and we would be, if you said we're coming to Studio City, I think we would want to know and find out and make some points about where it would be good and where it would be bad. I mean, sure.
The other beauty of a not dock-based system is that we use the this scooter sat here for 4 hours, this one left in 1 minute, maybe
Right.
there should be 3 over here and none over here.
Gotcha.
I'd also finally like to add, this has come up a couple of times about the
Okay,
the
you guys, we
non-electric cars
have
that-
to end. I
that-
have to get
that-
up
that-
in 6 hours.
Got it.
Oh, you can talk. You can talk, especially over.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.